Yep.
You still see me?
Nope. Hey guys, Savage Joy here with Real Progressives. We're really sorry about the delay, but we're still gonna get it going here. We apologize and thank you guys for still tuning in. I am joined tonight by Sema Hernandez. She is running for Senate in Texas against Zodiac killer TedCruz. So we definitely support that. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Sema.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. That's amazing. I appreciate
it. Absolutely. So it's interesting because you literally are the #1 requested guest for me.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing.
It's pretty awesome. But it's funny because I think a lot of people think that you are a green candidate. Because I had to double check. I saw that it said Democrat, progressive Democrat, on your page, and I know some people have thought you were green. So that could be a problem around voting time.
Well, I think that it's because of the kind of marketing and the flyers that we're using. We're using different colors to draw people in. And look, right. Yeah, that could be something that attracts people into actually looking at the pictures, the platform. It's like how do I say this? A marketing tactic.
Right.
To just draw people's attention in. And that wasn't even my idea. Like somebody else did it, somebody who was volunteering on the campaign for the social media. And I greatly appreciate the work that they put into the campaign.
Now, did you, is Texas an open state or closed?
It's an open primary.
Okay, awesome. So that wouldn't quite matter anyway, so that's good, as long as they see your name.
Right, and I'm on the ballot. I'm the only woman on the Democratic ticket.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome. And a woman of color, and not TedCruz. So also important. So when you decided to run, what was the deciding factor? What made you actually decide to go to that length?
Oh, like I tell people all the time, it's the catalyst for me running for office was because of Bernie Sanders. But deciding to run for this particular position was the debate that Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz had over the ACA, and him always going after it and trying to take it away. It's the little bit of healthcare that we had at the time. And so I'm like, okay, so me being someone that has a healthcare background, I worked in patient care from the ER all the way to the neuro ICU, from post what is it called? Post care or after care after giving birth, mom and labor and delivery, things like that. Like, this man has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to healthcare. He has no idea what it's like to hold someone's hand as they pass away on their own, with no loved ones around him. He has no idea what it's like to tell another human being, sorry, we can't get you any help because your insurance won't approve it. And that holds a lot of doctors back. Their hands are tied behind their backs because of this insurance profiteering off of people's lives. And I said, this man's got to go, and I'm gonna take him down. And that was my mindset. I was yelling at the TV like many people do when they're really pissed off at Ted Cruz. You're yelling at the TV, calling him all kinds of names. And I said, well, this guy's he's got to go. And I looked up to see whenever he's up for re-election, like 2018. Okay, what do I have to do? The following day, I ended up calling. Hold on. Go that way. I have my little one. He still hasn't gone to bed yet. Sorry. I called the DNC in Washington. I asked them who they were going to run against Ted Cruz, and they said they didn't know. I even called the local party in Texas. So then I called the Texas Democratic Party, and I asked them, who are you running against Ted Cruz? Because that man has to be taken down. And they said, well, it's between two guys. And I said, well, what's the holdup? They said, oh, well, they're trying to see who's more feasible. And I said, okay, well, with all due respect, I don't know who they are. I don't know who this person is. I'm letting you know that I'm running. I just need you to tell me where I need to file, what I need to do. And they kept giving me the runaround for weeks. Not only them, but the what's it called? Election Texas Secretary of State, Department of Elections kept giving me the runaround as well. So I had to figure it out on my own. I finally called the U.S. Senate building in D.C. and they told me where to file within 5 minutes. But I was determined on filing and getting on the ballot any which way that I could. So, yeah.
So one of them was Beto, obviously. Who was the other one?
The other one was Joaquin Castro, one of the Castro twins here in Texas.
Oh, okay. Is he running at
No,
all?
he's not. He's not running at all. There was rumor that he was going to run for governor, but then when it came time to file, he decided not to. So I don't know what his plans are, if he's waiting until 2020. So we'll see.
So besides Beto, how many other Democrats are there?
For the U.S. Senate, it's O'Rourke, it's myself, and there's another gentleman. His name is Edward Kimbrough. But there's no social media presence on him. There is no campaign donation button. There's nothing on him. I can't even find a picture of that man at all.
What? Okay, that's weird. Now I gotta go Inspector Gadget when we're done.
Well,
that is weird.
No one has heard of him exactly that I know of. I know he's in Houston, Texas. I just don't know where. And rumor has it that he is an educator or a principal or something, but you can't find anything on him. He's not out there campaigning. He's not out there holding events. We don't know if he just got on the ballot just to get on the ballot, or what his intentions are, or if this is just a decoy. Now, there's a lot of things floating up in the air at this moment. We don't know who he is or what the purpose of his running is. So yeah, if y'all can dig around and find out who Edward Kimbrough is, that would be great.
That's bananas. Oh my gosh. That's a new one. I've done quite a number of interviews, but that's a good one. So you are in Texas. I've had so many guests come on from Texas. It seems to be like quite an active area. We had Tom Wakely, who, was an amazing guy. He's coming back on in a few weeks for his musical tour that he's doing. So are people in your actual town active as well?
If they are, I don't see them. I really don't. I know we were very active during the municipal elections early last year, about maybe January, February, March, and then May, because there was a runoff election for mayor. And that's where I entered after the fallout with the 2016 election and Trump getting elected and things like that. It was just getting back into politics and trying to work with as many people as possible to get the right people elected at the local level. So that's when I entered, and I just bit my tongue and I went in full helping as many people as possible. But after that, I haven't really seen much. I know there's a lot of activists that are involved here in Pasadena. Pasadena, for a little brief history, used to be the headquarters of the KKK in the state of Texas. Yeah, you walk around here and you go around, you see that there's a lot of Latinos, about 70% Latinos, but elected officials are of Anglo descent, and we have maybe 3 Hispanics, but the rest are all Caucasian, white, very what I like to think of as wealthy, privileged people. And that to me is kind of disturbing, because like there's 70% of us, 70% should be reflected in the city council, but there isn't. So right whenever the other mayor was leaving office and the new mayor was taking his position, other activists got together and went to go get some attention from the new mayor as to what he was going to do when it came time to join the lawsuit against SB4, which SB4 is anti-sanctuary cities in Texas. And we would go every single city council meeting and hold press conferences outside to let people know we are here. Three Latino women that are here fighting for all of our rights and not to be targeted because of the color of our skin. So that was more or less what got the attention of a lot of other people about me running, because I've been active in other things as well, such as baseball and organizing in my community, organizing for the church that I used to go to, because I used to also be an LDS member, a Mormon church. And I ended up leaving, so I had a fallout because of my beliefs when it came to LGBTQ. And I ended up leaving because our views didn't align. And I was going to stand by not just my family members, but my friends that are LGBTQ, that identify and that have, how do I say this? That I want to fight for. I do. There's no reason why my brother-in-law had to leave Ohio to get married in Florida. And there's no reason anyone should get denied the right to be married just because of who they choose to love. And that's not what I wanted to do. But that being aside, I organized and I did work locally for my community, as well as politically involved here in Pasadena and in Houston. But it's very hard to get people involved because they're so busy working every single day that they don't have time to worry about politics. To them, politics has nothing to do with their daily lives or their daily paycheck, when it actually does.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think, you know, local politics is almost more important than, you know, every 4 years, because those things affect you directly every single day. You know, we both work full time and, you know, do activism and campaigning and my show and everything on top of it. I mean, you make it's priorities. I mean, not to sound self-righteous, but I don't know anyone that busy that they can't do an hour once a week on something, like anything. There are so many ways that we can contribute and we can do things. Like, to me, the best candidates are activists. And the fact that you've been activated before now, to me, means that you're that much more of a better candidate, because you've been with We the People and you see where people are coming from.
Well, especially because I am one of those same people that's affected every day. And, you know, SB4 wouldn't affect me because, well, it would affect me because I would be racially profiled. But I'm a citizen. I can just pull out my card and say, well, here you go. But the point of it is that if I don't stand up for other people, then who will be there when it's my turn? You know, who will be there for our children if we don't stand up and rise up against the government, local or federal or whatever it is, that's going to discriminate against people because of who they choose to love, what they wear, tattoos, no tattoos, you know, the color of their skin, their hair. It could be anything. And they can make it legal to where they can profile us in any way, shape, or form, even by the religion that we practice. And that's not something that I don't want to happen to anyone else. So that's why, even though I'm not going to get deported, you know, I'm not going to be affected in that way. I have that privilege that I am a citizen and that I am a woman of color, and that I could be that voice to people who cannot do that because they are afraid.
Absolutely. And I think that to sum it all up, is probably the biggest problem in our country right now is the lack of empathy. There's too many people who wait till something happens to them until they start caring, until they start fighting. That's the beautiful thing with activists and, you know, passionate people. All progressives, really, they actually care about the people in our country and the people around the world. So we're in good company. I definitely like that. Some people actually are, you know, they have a few things that are litmus tests. you typically Medicare for all is on that list. What are your feelings? I know we talked a little about healthcare. We're both in healthcare. How do you feel about Medicare for all?
Well, I think that it's great to expand it for everyone, to make it a completely nonprofit healthcare system that leaves the health insurance companies or health insurance pharmaceutical profiteers out of it completely. And the healthcare should be between the patient and the doctor, and their treatment should be decided between them, not approved or gone through so many different avenues to get it approved. Now that's how I feel about it, only because I, one, am someone without health insurance. My neighbors are without health insurance. There's about 80% of the people that I see every single day are without health insurance, or they have health insurance, they pay a lot and don't get enough out of it. That's the problem. Is I think it was designed, it was intended for that purpose, to charge a lot and just give little in services. And I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that's right, that the congressmen and women, the senators, they have health insurance, but they don't want to give it to us. They're quick to insure other things, such as, you know, the crops for wheat or the crops for cotton. They'll insure it by the billions. But when it comes to insuring people's lives, they don't do that. But they'll insure billionaires and millionaires. They'll go ahead and bail out the banks. They'll go ahead and bail out Wall Street. But they won't ever bail us out when we're in a dire situation, when we need health care as a basic necessity. They won't do that.
And the irony is, they don't even need damn health care. So, you know what I mean? Like, they're rich enough. They don't even need it. But they're like keeping it for themselves.
Right.
So I kind of digress a little, but do you think Ted will debate you, like Ted or Beto or even any of them? Like, is there like a Dem debate scheduled or anything like that?
As of right now, there is no debate that is scheduled from the Democratic Party itself. What I was told earlier today is I asked them, what is the likelihood of the Democratic Party holding this event? And they said, well, that depends on who would sponsor it. Like, who would be the one to promote it? Who would be the one in charge of organizing it all? And I said, well, okay, what if I organize it? What if I get a venue, I get the word out, I call the media, and if they won't do it, because if I sit here and I wait around for someone else to do it, it's never going to get done. But if I take that initiative to do it on my own, then maybe, just maybe, it'll get done. Because I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the invite from the Democratic Party of Texas to do something, to let me know. But I got an email, a few weeks ago, and I opened it up, I think maybe 3 or 4 days ago, inviting me to a debate in El Paso on a Monday. Like, I can't get to El Paso on a Monday. Like, I don't have that kind of flow to get on a plane and go. I have children. My kids go to school. My husband goes to work. I would have to literally drop everything and go. It's a 12-hour drive. A 12-hour drive that I did 2 weekends ago to El Paso and back. And it was a total of 24 hours. So I'm like, I can't drop everything and go. Even if I had money like that, like who's gonna take care of my children? Who's gonna pick them up from school? You know, it's like these things are not thought about in a thoughtful manner whenever it's presented. I said, I'm sorry, I can't go because I have previous engagements. Like, I have to take care of my kids. I don't have the luxury to just drop everything because I am a mother of four wonderful little boys. And if it was on a Saturday and they would give me time to drive there, I would gladly do it. But it was in El Paso at a high school, and I couldn't do it. So, oh, look at that. Debate on Super Bowl Sunday. That's interesting. I don't think anyone would watch.
Yes.
I don't think anyone would watch. I think that's pulling a 2016 primary where no one watched the debates.
Oh my gosh, I know. You know, if you guys do it on a Super Bowl Sunday, please do something with a ball on TedCruz's head. That's all I can picture is like, yeah.
Yeah, I would love a public debate. The sooner the better, because the primaries are around the corner.
Yeah, your primary is actually coming up. You guys are so fortunate the way that your voting is set up. And you actually did something that not a lot of candidates do, believe it or not. You, on your website and your personal Facebook page, you put the registration deadline, which is February 5th.
Yep.
You put, what's that?
Yep, I'm disagreeing.
You put early voting is February 20th through March 2nd. And then the actual, the primary day is March 6th. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I got to go digging for that stuff. I'm serious. It's not always on people's pages, and it seems very basic. So, but good for you for putting that stuff on there. So that's actually coming up quite soon. People only have like another week and a half to register. Are you guys doing like registration drives and everything like that?
No, we're trying to get as many people to register, but with this uncooperable weather does not cooperate very well. I think I just made up a word, incooperable. It's been kind of hectic. It's been very crazy. And I know that the places that I've gone to, they are already registered to vote, or they're getting people registered to vote. One of my plans, unfortunately, that didn't happen was getting a concert together for legalizing marijuana and ending mass incarceration, getting that information out, giving the platform to local activists from the abolitionist movement, places from organizers from places like the normal groups, like Houston Normal, Katy Normal, Galveston Normal, to talk about the legalization of marijuana and how to do that. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it together in time, so it may not even happen by the deadline of registering to vote, which is February 5th. But that would have been a great way to get people in if they weren't already registered.
Right, absolutely. I'm looking at these comments to see if there are any questions yet. So is that something that's very prevalent in your area, as far as being forced into jail for marijuana, or those things you mentioned? Is that very prevalent where you are?
Well, possibly not as much in Pasadena. Well, see, the laws within the Harris County have changed, where you're no longer going to be incarcerated for a little bit of marijuana. You might get a fine, and that's pretty much it. But before, you would get the what do you call it? There's this word I can't even think of it. But you would get more people of color arrested than you would African Americans, and even just for not carrying your license, you get arrested. There's not even a warning anymore. There are people still sitting in jail that still haven't been charged, and they're being held there for a very long time. So there isn't a due process. There isn't a way to speed it up, and I notice it more and more in the neighborhoods that are low income. Like my area is considered the older part of Pasadena, the more historic part of Pasadena. It's a little bit more run down, but we do okay in our area. But just on the other side, there is an even more lower income area where people are dealing drugs, and it does make it somewhat dangerous. But I mean, if you legalize things like marijuana, then maybe people wouldn't be addicted to opioids so much, because they usually use it for painkillers. And that's something that we need to think about going forward in the 2018 election, about the opioid addiction and how to combat it, not with more drugs, like pharmaceutical drugs, but with more natural remedies, such as marijuana.
I totally agree. And we saw Vermont just legalized 2 days ago or so. Go Bernie. But so that's exciting. I think it's 14 states now, I believe. It's you know, it's crazy that it's on a state by state basis, because as it becomes more and more, it's like, why don't they just do it? Unfortunately, there's that for-profit prison system. It is very sad.
Well, and Texas is one of the largest, one of the states that has the most prisons per capita. Than we actually do education or public school funding and universities, which is devastating, because that goes to show you that they are more interested in creating prisons, and they're using statistics from, for example, my children. They're using their statistics, their reading levels, to predict more or less how many of those children, as soon as they get old enough, how many of them are going to be incarcerated. They use those statistics, reading statistics and literacy, math, income as well. So for us, let's say a few years ago, my children were approved to go to pre-K because we were low income. This last year, when I was trying to enroll my 4-year-old, we couldn't enroll him because they considered us that we were way above the income threshold. And I said, what do you mean we're way above it? Like, yes, you're making too much money. I said, well, so you're discriminating against me because my husband got a job a month ago after being unemployed for 7 months. Unemployed for 7 months because there wasn't any more work for him to do. And now that he has a job, he had it for a month, we don't qualify for education for our children. I said, okay. I said, the system is so screwed up, because within that month, Hurricane Harvey happened, and then my husband was without a job again. So how does that make any sense? And then they discriminate against you if your child speaks English. So if my child spoke Spanish, and only Spanish, he would be allowed to go to pre-K. It's either we have to be poor or we have to only speak Spanish. And that discriminates against people who speak English and who have money, or who have, who have any other characteristics that qualify them as not being at risk. I think children should have that ability to go to preschool, go to Head Start without having these qualifications. It's an equal opportunity education, something that we don't have unless you meet that criteria, which ironically translates into prison systems in the future.
Right. That's totally right on. Absolutely. What are the major differences between the other, well, you wouldn't know about the one guy, but between the other Dem you're running against? Like, are you more progressive? What are the major differences?
Well, off the top of my head, he's I don't want to bash anyone, so I'm just going to give you the facts.
And he's coming on my show next month, so.
Oh, he is? Okay.
His assistant said yes. So I've been trying to keep my opinion down low. But I'm kind of curious what you're going to say as far as what the major differences are.
Well, right off the top of my head, I'm a woman. He's a man. Okay. I am brown. He's white. The major differences. Now, he's born into a political family. I'm not a political insider. He's been in politics for many years. I have not. He's been a congressman for almost 6 years. I have not. Now, because he's been a congressman for 6 years, he's had several opportunities to introduce progressive legislation, co-sponsor, or amend legislation. But he hasn't. He signed on to a few of them because of the pressure of the people from the People's Platform. But basic things like wanting universal health care, but not signing on to important legislation like HR 676, because he says it would lead to nonprofit health care. And I thought, well, profit healthcare is what got us in this mess in the first place. So, yeah, don't want that. So I support everything on the People's Platform. I support the working class people. Now, I live every single day in an area that is close to the refineries. So in Pasadena off of 225, there's about 12 miles stretch of nothing but oil refineries and chemical refineries and plastics and different manufacturing. I live with that and I see that. I'm exposed to that every single day. My opponent is not. He doesn't live in the areas we live in because those areas are predominantly low income. That's where I live, in a low income area, mostly industrialized by big oil. So I personally don't think that he understands or that he can do anything about it because he hasn't done anything about it at this moment. I would hope that he signs onto all of the People's Platforms and Justice Democrats and all these progressive legislations, not just talk about it. Like, we actually need him to do it. And those are the things that I know are different. And when you look at his voting record, it's not progressive. It's more centrist. It's more towards the right than it is to the actual left. When you look at his donor history, you also see that a lot of the money that he has collected comes from companies that have a vested interest in keeping things the way they are. Now, y'all guys can look it up yourselves and make your own decision, but this is just on the research that we have done. I know that when it came to net neutrality, he also received, I believe it was around $47,000 or $45,000 from an ISP. He still voted no, but, net neutrality, we don't have it. He does, when you go and talk to the people of El Paso, they will tell you a lot of things about him. And, if maybe one chance you get someone from El Paso interview, that would be great. You can ask them yourself. But from what I experienced in El Paso, they told me that they have not paid attention to the Senate race because he's running. And they said, because he's in the race and he's running, we're not going to vote. And I told them, I said, would you vote for me? And they said, are you on the ballot? And I said, yes, I'm on the ballot. I got on the ballot already. So just so you know, you have an option. So they were ecstatic. They hugged me. They embraced me. They held my hand. We sat down. We talked. We chatted with a lot of people there, people with the indigenous rights movement as well, that were there, activists, people that were there from the healthcare and from El Paso Normal. They were excited to speak with me and talk about marijuana legislation to get it legalized and decriminalized. That way, when people in Colorado open up their businesses, they can open up a bank account too to keep that money there instead of just having it liquid somewhere else. So that's one of the things I noticed, and I said, so why wouldn't you vote for your own congressman to be your senator? He said, because he hasn't been serving us. So he's not going to serve us as senator. So that to me was very interesting. Then I started connecting the dots as to why he doesn't hold events where he lives. And it's because maybe not a lot of people will support him. And they expressed to me the reason why he keeps getting reelected is because his father-in-law owns half of El Paso. And that was interesting. And then there's his ties to charter schools. There is, I'm not sure if you've looked it up or not, but there is, in his family, his wife, she runs a charter school. She runs 2 charter schools, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong. Just go back and check and verify. He's written articles about his support for charter schools. But the thing is that, we know what charter schools do to our public education. It's defunding and privatizing our education. We don't want that going forward. There's a reason why our children are not well equipped to finish these standardized testing. I don't support standardized testing. I think it's problematic, especially since children may not be on that level that the state expects them to be at, because every child learns differently. They're not all the same, so you cannot teach them and treat them all the same. They all learn on different levels. It just depends on the child. So standardized testing doesn't benefit the child at all. It actually puts more pressure on them, and it lowers your self-esteem if they're not doing what they're expected to do, statistically speaking. Now there's key differences, and you have to do some digging. You have to look. You have to do your research. Look at the voting record. Look at where the money's coming from. Look at his history in politics. And let me tell you, I may not have any political experience or serving in office, but being an activist, being someone who has worked directly with people, patient care in their most vulnerable time, and still treating them with respect and dignity that they deserve, being a mother, being a baseball coach, I've coached and organized sometimes 2 to 3 different teams in one season. I have, breastfed my child in the dugout while coaching a baseball team of 12. I have done so many things that are unexpected, but I do them. I do them because I care, and I do them because I think that our children deserve someone who can teach them and take their time and have that patience with them. That's what got me into coaching in the first place. One of the coaches told my child, "We lost because of you." And I was very deeply offended. Like, you don't do that to a child. You lower their self-esteem, you make them feel worthless. So the following season, I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to coach you. Problem was, I didn't know how to coach. So I put it off. And then someone from the organization, they said, we need a coach. Do you know of anyone? I'm like, well, I just had a child. I don't think I can coach. Baby's 3 months old. And I breastfeed all my children. So, well, not when they're babies, infants, not grown children. Let me just clarify. So they said, no problem. We'll show you. We'll teach you. And sure enough, I started coaching my son's team, and I kept taking it from there. So all of my 4 children have been coached by myself and my husband. But I was always the head coach. I was always the team mom and the organizer, with a double stroller, a bunch of bags on me, a baseball hat, the tee over my shoulder, and, getting a wagon behind me and the other kid pulling the wagon. And then in between the innings, I would breastfeed my child. So I think that I can do a lot of things, just like many women can do a lot of things. This shouldn't be new. You don't have to have political experience to do the right thing.
You have good intentions, and you're an activist, which mixed together makes me feel more obligated to vote for someone like that. You know what I mean? And that's a very valid point, that he's already been in a political position. And even if things don't come to fruition, the way you vote matters. How hard you fought for things matters. So that's a really valid point. Now, as far as I see on your page, we kind of joked about this earlier. You have tons of items on your platform because you're super passionate. So besides like criminal justice reform and healthcare, what is something else that you would like to delve into immediately should you win the election?
When I win the election, it would be renewable energy, and it would be also immigration reform. I think those are the 2 on my top list. But see, there's just so many of them, because I put a poll out there. I asked questions on Facebook, and I asked them, what is important to you for me to include on this platform? And right away, I started getting responses. And I thought, well, living wage is a no-brainer, because we have starvation wages right now. Healthcare, of course, very passionate about that. But then comes renewable energy. And why is because, well, we deserve a hell of a lot better than what we have now. I know the future is not oil. That was a long time ago. And now we need to bring Texas into the renewable energy future, which a lot of places have implemented. You know, those what do you call those? Those wind turbines. There you go, turbines.
Right,
out
right.
in Texas. There is plenty of space for solar panels. There's a lot of land that is being used right now for fracking sites. So I figured, why not use all that land and use it to do like a solar farm or a wind farm or anything else besides oil. And the reason why I say that even more now is because last year when we were coming home from a baseball game, my child noticed this big plume of smoke. And I thought it was going to rain. It was like a huge dark rain cloud. And my son says, "No, Mom, it's black smoke." And I started driving in that direction because it was 3 miles away from my house where my husband was working in the oil refinery. He's a pipe fitter. And the overwhelming sensation of fear overcame me, and my child started to cry. He started to cry, and he says, is Daddy okay? And I told him, I don't know. I don't know if your dad's okay. I started calling him, frantically calling him, because the smoke wouldn't stop, and everything was on fire. And there was tears running down my son's face, and I was starting to hold back my tears like I am right now. And I thought to myself, he needs to quit his job. He needs to stop. Like, he needs to switch over to a new job, because I can't keep living in fear every day that he may not make it home. It's a very real fear. So he calls me and he says, I'm okay. And I said, well, I'm outside. I'm outside at the refinery, and it's on fire. And he says, I'm okay. We were actually right underneath it, but I'm okay. We ran out of there quickly. But every time he goes to work, I wonder if he's going to come back home. I worry, what am I going to tell my kids in the future? I'm like, I'm sorry, sweetie, your daddy, this happened and he's no longer here because there wasn't another source of income. And we really want renewable energy, but oil is king, and we need to change that. So my husband started this job a few weeks ago. My son said, where's Daddy? I told him, your daddy's working. He says, where? I said, in the oil refinery. He says, does he not know that those things explode? And I looked at him and I said, of course he knows that. But that's one of the things that's on my list is renewable energy, because I know that we have the capabilities, we have the technology. All we have to do is transition, these jobs into that sector and start being 100% on renewable energy, not dependent on oil and gas. And that's a very real fear to some people, because sometimes that's all they know. So I figured we can have a transition period to get them going into learning these new skills, possibly pay them the gap in between to go to college if they want to learn something new, if they want to get another job, or just tailor their skills into this new job sector to keep them working. Because the income from oil, I will tell you, it is very good when it's good. But when you're unemployed and you have a household to maintain and you have medical bills piling up, it doesn't do anyone any good, because the more you keep working in that oil, the more you're exposed to those chemicals, the more you're exposed to the dangers. And they don't tell you until it's too late. They don't tell you at all until there's a huge explosion. And by that time, either you're affected, impacted, or dead. So renewable energy is right at the top of my list, along with many other things on my list.
And now, as I call him, Trumple Foreskin 2 days ago, just put 30% copyright. I made that up. Just put a 30%, tariff or fee on solar panels. Yeah. So it's like people are being discouraged from going that route. Let's see, Dr. Joe Firestone. Hi, Dr. Joe. He said, you're a good lady.
Thank you.
Joe's the man. So something we talk about a lot on Real Progressives is MMT. Are you familiar with what that is?
Modern monetary theory.
Bingo.
I'm right up on it as well. I've been doing some homework.
What's that?
Oh, so I've been doing some homework on that.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. And what do you I mean, it's kind of complicated. I'm still very new myself, about 6 months. What are your feelings on it? Do you think it's plausible? Do you think do you embrace it?
I think anything is possible. That we have now is not backed by anything, really. So we can just print, because the value of a dollar is how much value we put on it. So if you continue to print it and we continue to pay for it, it's just a matter of and just cashing that check for universal health care. That's my understanding of it. But then there's also the devaluation of the dollar with other countries whenever you're. So I'm kind of like, if someone can explain that to me a little bit more, let's figure it out, because I think that if and I'm pretty sure that we can, it would take a lot of the establishment politicians to get on, to get them on board. It really would. Absolutely.
And Dr. Joe, I'm sure you probably have an article or video on that if you wanted to send it to Sema. He's like ridiculously good with explaining things. I'm not so much. I'm more, I do giving opinions better. Oh, people are excited because of that response. A gentleman by the name of Garza. What's that? Mm-hmm. He said, I helped, right, Sema?
Well, yes, because people reach out to me on Twitter and learn MMT. I'm like, my policy friends, what the hell is MMT? And I looked at YouTube videos. I started going on Real Progressives. I broke it down for me to understand it a little bit, like makes Twitter, and it was condensed. I'm like, I probably need my. But I'm looking. I'm good to be more open, especially in the. We want to take it in a way where it's able to afford that we're putting out there, including things like universal health care and investing on renewable energy instead of approving a $700 billion military budget. Some of that money for college for all, Medicare for all. You can use it for so much more, right? But instead we use it for more war, which is something that I am not for, especially if you're not taking care of your veterans. I mean, come on. Oh, can you hear me okay?
So yes, yes. There was just a minute where it was kind of like in and out, but no, we can hear you clearly now. But yeah, I agree. I think as a country, we need to reprioritize, and we're not going to do that with the establishment that's in there now. We need more progressives, regardless of party or anything like that. There's some people who want to know if you're aligned with Justice Dems or socialism, or DSA rather, or, oh no, shoot. Sorry guys, it looks like she dropped. Damn. Well, keep talking to me so I can see if she comes back on. Ask me some questions or tell me what you want me to talk about.
Okay. You okay?
Oh, there she is. Yeah.
It froze. Oh, it froze again. Okay, are you there?
Possibly.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I was like, somebody talk to me until she comes back.
Okay.
Sweet. Okay. People were wondering if you're like involved with like DSA or Justice Dems, or are you part of any of those groups?
I am a member of DSA.
Oh, okay. Good.
Justice Democrats, I've been nominated quite a few times to Justice Democrats, but I haven't heard anything back.
I think, well, Justice Democrats, I think are more embraced, but it looks like, I know we're seeing some negative things about like our revolution and stuff like that. So it's kind of almost good that you're like on your own at this point. What else do you guys got?
That's another story with Justice Democrats.
Oh.
It's not a good experience from my perspective. But with our revolution, I've had a good experience with our revolution here in Houston. I believe that I was here during the time that it began, but I was never officially a member. I was just there to listen, be involved, and help any way I can, but not involved in any official capacity. When our revolution began, I started going to the meetings, and I think it was whenever Bernie Sanders introduced Jeff Weaver. Every time I heard his voice talking about all these inspirational things, progressive issues, like, my God, that man, like, wow. I cry because it's emotional. It's like watching a family member talking about these things, and I'm in tears because everything that he's saying is because he understands how we are living every day. Well, I think that's why his message resonates more with people in my situation, because he gets it.
Absolutely. And I think it's something, all the people who hate on him have to realize that man could have retired 11 years ago. He's still out there busting his ass more than anyone else. He retires now. Who else we got? Nobody. So okay. when I hear people just, what's that?
I was like, well, we have Nina Turner. We have Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, oh no, bring them. But I'm saying, like, as he is the most active person and the most accomplished person, 40 years, Amendment King, all that good stuff.
Yes. Like, he says something, he's going to do it. He doesn't, just give the platitudes that most people give. He will say, we're putting together legislation, Medicare for all, and he went ahead in 2 months, 3 months, and he did it. Here we are waiting for people to co-sponsor it, and so far there's 16 members of the Senate that are co-sponsoring it. And that's pretty much it. Now, when it comes to John Connor's bill, well, that's a little bit different. Just saying.
Yeah, totally agreed. So if let's say that there is one thing that you want to leave people feeling about your campaign, what's the closing statement that you want everyone to take from this interview?
Okay. Whew. Here's, and I've had some time to think about this. I did not get in this race to cause chaos or anything like that. I got in this race with the intention to win for all of us, because all of us, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of your socioeconomic status, at the end of the day, we are all human beings. We are all affected by the decisions that are coming up from the top. When I talk to people, I don't talk to them because they're Democrats or because they're Republican or because they're independent or Greens. No, I talk to them as a human being. And I tell them, as a human being, don't you think that we should have the most basic necessities to life? And what are those necessities to you? And the majority of the time, I hear, well, we need healthcare, we need good paying jobs, we need to be safe in our neighborhoods, we need to, we need so much. I'm like, okay, so what do you think on the platform that we have that resonates to you? He says, well, a lot of it matters to me, but how are we going to get it done? And I tell him we have to understand that regardless of your political affiliation, we're all human beings, and we all deserve health care. We don't deserve to die alone in a cold bedroom hospital surrounded by a stranger. We do not deserve to suffer in this manner where we're working day in and day out without reasonable pay, worked and underpaid, or overeducated and underemployed. The millennials, the young people that are coming up, they are talented, they are educated, they are smart, they are the future of this country. I need them to vote. I need them to understand the importance of being involved, not just politically, not just every election season for president, but every time there is an election. Because if we don't, then anyone can get in, such as Trump, and do what he wants. Which luckily he hasn't, because we are aware of what he's doing. We probably weren't aware during Obama, during Clinton, during Bush, but we're awake now, we are aware, and we need to understand that we all need to get involved, every single one of us, because we're all affected, and we need to do better. We need to include as many people as possible without saying, well, we need to go up against these people or that people. No, we need to understand that this is not an R or a D or a color war. It's a race war. It's the war from the top to the bottom, and they've gotten so good at creating chaos where we're fighting amongst each other that we lose sight of who's actually causing it, and it's at the top, at the way top. So if we're not going to band together and us be involved, regardless of our political affiliation, to combat the rich people and their policies and what they're doing to divide us, we're always going to lose. Hell, right now, the left is eating itself. The right is laughing.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do better. We're human. We have necessities. We need health care. We need food. We need shelter. We need a living wage. Our veterans are coming home and there's nothing for them. But they're really quick to send them to war. When they come home, they're lost. You know, they're suffering. And maybe not all of them, but the people that went to war, they're the ones that are holding all the baggage right now. There's consequences to everything.
100%. What is your email and your donation sign up and your canvassing, phone banking, all that info?
All that info can be found online, SEMA4Texas.us. You can go on Facebook on SEMA for US Senate or SEMA for Texas. Go on Twitter, SEMA for Texas, and my email is semafortexas@gmail.com. Let's see what else. Phone banking. Here's the thing: is I have to pay about $1,500 to get a list from the Democratic Party. Yeah, $1,500. Like, we need open elections, people-funded elections, but I mean, they're charging so much for it. Like, I cannot afford that right now. We're grassroots fundraising, and every dollar counts. So if you could do me the favor of donating to our campaign to continue not just traveling, continue printing literature, to get the message, to get people to vote, do the regular block walking. Everyone on our campaign is completely volunteer. No one is paid. So that's the beauty of it, is we have people that have volunteered their time, their talents, their the time and their talents to help on this. It's greatly appreciated. But we also need funds to continue to print the information. We need ads to continue to travel across Texas, because when this primary is won, we still have to continue going to the general. And maybe just then, the Democratic Party will help. Because right now I'm receiving zero help from the party. I am being locked out of many meetings. I am not being invited to many things within the Democratic Party. But I find a way, I go around them, and I get in with the right people Heck, Tom Wakely invites me to his events that are here in Houston or nearby so I can go and campaign with him. And I'm very grateful for him and his advice and his help. I'm grateful for friends and activists that let me know what's going on. Just recently, a friend, an activist, and an organizer, she told me that my opponent is going to be receiving an award for his environmental work. And she was baffled because she said, he hasn't done anything for the environment. Why is he getting this award? So I said, I have no idea. So she sent me the email and she said, you need to go to this event. And it's called the Houston Climate Forum 2018. I emailed them and I called the organizer. They said, sure, we have no problem in inviting you. Or Works team called and said that they wanted to be included in this forum with Congressional District 7. So then I said, okay, cool, then add me on. So they contacted the other organizer. The other organizer said that they were not going to invite any other U.S. Senate candidate because O'Rourke is receiving an award for his environmental help. Now, I'm wondering what he did, because while he was approving whatever he was approving in Congress, we were swimming in 5 feet of water rescuing our neighbors at 1 o'clock in the morning during the hurricane. We were mucking homes down the street. We had water in our house, not only coming through our front door and our garage door and our back door, but we had water coming in through our roof. So please tell me what you were doing during Harvey. Please tell me what you were doing for our environment. While they're fracking away all over Texas, while there's chemical spills happening down the street, I'd like to know what you were doing environmentally to help us. When the whole time, a lot of elected officials in the Democratic Party stay silent when those things are happening. They do nothing about it. In the meantime, here we are having cancer clusters when people have no health care. What is it that he's getting the award for? When there's actual activists that are not running for office that deserve that award, but they don't go out asking for it because they're not in it for themselves. Me running out there at that time late at night to rescue my neighbor who's a veteran, I did that without thinking, without any shoes on. Without any shoes on. After bringing his wife here, I changed. And then I ran back outside in dry clothes and I came back soaking wet with ants in my hair and I smelled like gasoline. Now, not everyone does that. Hell, not anyone else came out of their house to come help me find my neighbor. I did it on my own. My husband told me not to, but I did it. Whenever it came time to mucking their home, they're in their 60s and 70s, they can't muck their home. Me and my son went out there and we tore up. We tore up the carpet, we took it out, tore out the drywall, took it out, threw out furniture. Took us about 12, 14 hours to get 3 rooms done. 3 rooms, until we finally got help the next day of 25 people showing up at the house. So explain to me what any elected official was doing out here other than a photo op. Because they came to Houston and they went to the George R. Brown and they took pictures and camera crews were there. But I didn't see them do anything or go out into these neighborhoods and bring food to people, go help the undocumented people that are still being taken advantage of. That's what upsets me. That's what drives me. Is that I don't think that there's any elected official that actually did that here in Houston, that put their lives out there for other people. And then you wonder why I'm still running. You wonder why I'm still in the game, why I won't give up. Because I know, there's no doubt in my mind that I know I will not be corrupted into doing all these things for profit. I'm doing all these things for other people without even giving a second look or second thought about my own well-being. My mother told me, you should really think about your kids. I said, yeah, I was. I was thinking about my kids, giving them an example of what someone should do for other people. Be completely selfless. So that to me baffles me, that he would be getting an award, and that again, I'm shut out of something else when I could have brought real information out on the table, giving them real solutions, which I tried to give those real solutions to our council members, but he said, don't worry about it. We don't have to. Let them worry about it. Don't you worry your pretty little mind. Like, that was condescending. That was very sexist and misogynist. Like, you don't think that I can have an idea that could possibly help save millions of lives? Like, you don't think that that's possible coming from someone like me without any political experience? That's just great. But, I mean, I forgot what the question was. I think I just rest.
That's okay. It means you're passionate. I think, you know, it's important. Any of you guys watching who are in Texas, definitely check more of Sema out. Also, you can feel free to share this video, send it to people in Texas or relatives, what have you. I want to thank you all for watching, and especially thank you so much, Sema, for coming on. And I'm so glad it worked out and we got the equipment working and all that fun stuff.
I'm glad to. What I want to let people know, if you're in the Houston area or any surrounding area near Houston, we're having a community town hall on February 7th at the University of Houston. The event is on my page at Sema for Texas on Facebook. And we look forward to having as many people as possible there to come in to talk, give them the mic to talk about issues that they're passionate about. If they don't like me, they can tell me they don't like me. I mean, that's fine. But let's create a dialogue. Let's talk. Let's get this information out to the masses, and understand that we want better. We deserve more, and we need someone who's going to fight tooth and nail for us, not cave in as quickly as they did with DACA. That's a different story.
Preach. That's for sure. Well, again, thank you so much to the viewers at home. I'm still doing 3 shows a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Friday this week is, let me make sure I'm saying her name right, Lindsay Fagan. So she'll be joining me 9 o'clock on Monday. Then next week I have a lot of cool people too.
Oh, so, Lindsay is awesome. She is awesome.
Oh, okay, cool. That's rad. So thank you so much, Sema. Best of luck with everything. Please keep in touch. Let us know about, the primaries or anything like that. And again, thank you all for watching.
All right. Thank you for having me. I'll see you all soon.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Bye. Do I stop the camera?